Was When I Need You, was that actually a bigger worldwide hit than You Make Me Feel Like Dancing in terms of sales, or?
Well, it kind of was. Would you believe that that was the song that Richard didn't want to do? But I mean, because Richard really wanted me to not just be a songwriter, and that was my
Right.
my sort of real forte at the time. He wanted to explore the voice. I got given boxes of there were cassettes in those days of songs, and but Richard was he was into so many different modes of music. I had a lot of songs to explore on cassette, and one of them really hit me, and it was what Richard called a very soppy ballad.
Right.
The thing was, my ex-wife Janice was away in England, and I was missing her like mad. I'm one Englishman in Los Angeles working with a bunch of Americans, and sometimes feeling like I could do with a little bit of my roots.
Right.
And I was missing her like mad. I was making transatlantic calls, rather like we're doing now.
Right.
And for Alan, we've got an incredibly clear line here. And
Right.
we're speaking, but in those days it was a terrible line, and you might remember it where there were delays, and you could never get your words in properly because there'd be some echo shouting them back to you, or else the person on the other end would say, "I can't hear you," and the transatlantic line was dreadful, and I couldn't really sort of say what I wanted to say to Janice. Really, that I loved her and I missed her. So I chose the words of the song. I quoted back, listen, miles and miles of empty space in between us. A telephone can't take the place of your smile, all the words from When I Need You. And she cried on the phone.
When I need you, I just close my eyes and I'm with you. And all that I so wanna give you.
And I thought, this is fantastic. This is like a transatlantic love affair, song. It's something beautiful about it. So I went back to Richard and I said, look, I told him the story. I called Janice up and he said, okay, Leo, let's give it a shot. He said, it sounds like you're really going to feel it. I said, yeah, it's a blues song inside all of that. It's a great, beautiful song. It's a great emotion. And this could be great for lovers separated all over the world. And that, I think, is why it was a hit. It's the lyric by Carol Bayer Sager, which is a beautiful lyric,
Right.
With this incredibly melodic tune, which from Albert Hammond, who's become a great friend. And we've done a lot of work
Both of
together.
those two people, songwriting hacks, of course. I'm kidding.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I knew Carol first from the groovy kind of love. And
Yeah,
those kind of songs,
she's
classic
legendary,
songs.
sure.
And it was this lyric anyway, and it's simple melody that struck the world, I think. So it was a huge international hit, and I think that. The other nice thing about it, I had people like Celine Dion phoning me and asking me if they could sing my song. And I'm saying, look, it's not my song, Celine. She said, oh, yes, but it is. So
Wow.
people like Celine, and I got a lovely message from Luther Vandross and all the people that kind of sang it, Julio Iglesias as well,
Right.
and Rod Stewart. They all kind of referred to me when they sang the song. I mean, Rod in interviews just said, "Look, I'm just doing a Leo Sayer song. I'm trying to do it as well as I can."
More than I can say. Again, you started off the decade with just another huge, huge hit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love you more than I can say. I love you twice as much tomorrow. Love you more than I can say.
Yeah, well, after 3 albums with Richard, went down, and we got plenty of hits and great products out of that. I came back to England, and there was a guy called Alan Tarney, who, funny enough, spent most of his time in Australia, and was instrumental in getting a big hit for Cliff Richard, the English singer, with We Don't Talk Anymore,
Right,
which
uh-huh.
is a beautiful record.
Sure.
And on We Don't Talk Anymore, the unique thing was that Alan played just about all the instruments. And there it was, 12:35 p.m. In the little studio in Richmond that we were recording, comes on this advert, and we both look at each other when the song in amongst all the, the medley of the hits that they play is, whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah, I love you more. And that's about it, as much as they play. And we both looked at each other and say, I love that song. I love that song. We didn't know much about it, but we rushed to the record shop and bought a copy. And we got it back to the studio, put it on, and heard the entire song and said, right, that's it, come on. We recorded from about 1:30 p.m. Until 2 o'clock the next morning, and we had the song. And we had it mixed and finished and everything. We went to the record company. Everything else on the album was original songs by the two of us. And they just turned around and said, that's your hit. Just like Richard Berry with the jam session in You Make Me Feel Like Love. The others know, don't they? And they turned around and just said, that's your hit. And it was massive.
It was.
I mean, the biggest surprise to me about More Than I Can Say was that it hit the US country charts. And it became a country number one, which is like the only one I've ever had.
Really?
And that was just superb. And I was really honoured that, blimey, I'd contributed something to their life, which was wonderful because they were heroes of mine. I mean, Jerry Allison is famed as the drummer on Peggy Sue, with that amazing drum beat. You feel like you're putting something back into the industry.
Oh yeah, I getting the same thing because this will help me bring you back into our current time. But we started doing these celebrity interviews with Merrill Osmond. I know that you toured with in London, the Osmonds and the Bay City Rollers.
That's right, lovely. I love the guys very much, the Osmonds. They've been great. Jimmy is a good friend of Merrill too, and we were all doing a tour together last year. And it's a kind of concept show where they bring back the time, the 70s and the 80s. And, look, we all worked together back in the day. We do that show Top of the Pops in England, and we do American Bandstand in the US.
Right.
And it's really funny when those kind of things come around. We had a ball on stage, all of the bands together. There was David Essex, the Bay City Rollers, who I guess are kind of more famous in the UK, but although everybody knows the Bay City Rollers in America.
Well,
but
ironically,
the four acts, we just had a ball. We had a ball. We make the music that we make because of what we listen to. I mean, I'm working on a new album now, and it's a lot of songs, fun enough, that I've written with Albert Hammond, some by myself. And some of the songs go back, would you believe? I've never got around to finishing them. Some of them go back to 1974, 1975.
Wow.
And you kind of think yourself sometimes, the circle will never be unbroken, as the song says. There's a connection between all of us.
Sure.
And we kind of hand things on, and we do get to work and meet our heroes, and it's a lovely business. In the start of the conversation, Alan, we're talking about it's kind of sad that the way the music scene has changed. I see signs that that we just had the Doobie Brothers, for instance, down here, and I've witnessed people going mad down here to the music, and the kids, and they are seeing now an alternative kind of music. That's what it is. The music from the past now is alternative to them. They've never. You mean those guys are actually playing their instruments?
Yeah, it's organic.
God,
it's not samples. Right. Yeah. Right. It's organic. It's real music.
And they can't get over it. So there is a chance. I think, and it's going to happen in America very soon. I think it's going to happen in England, in the UK, and in Europe. And it's already happening here. But the kids are turning away from kind of drum machines and programs and and sort of dance routines, and they're kind of getting back to music, and they love what they're seeing. And when a band, ZZ Top are just coming down here, it's sold out even before they left. My new record that I'm putting together now, what I'll do is I'm finishing it all off at the moment, and what we'll do is we'll put out a limited edition, on my website that will kind of be a certain amount of copies, and then if that goes well, and when that sells, that will make the money to produce the physical thing, because we're not made of money these days, and you have to take the gamble. But by the time you've sold 1,000 copies, online, then you can use that money to actually, get the card printed and get the record out there properly. I think a lot of people are doing that.
It's going to be awesome. I think I could talk to you for hours. I know our listeners are going to be absolutely thrilled to hear from you, Dan.
Well, there's there's more music coming, Alan, and
Sure.
you know, I'm sort of I haven't slowed down a bit. The Osmond boys will tell you, I'm still singing up good, and you know, there's lots to come, and you know, here in Australia I do about it's between 60 and 80 shows a year,
Wow.
and it just never stops. So you know, the business is good, the popularity is still there. We'll be back in the States soon, and I think that, you know, if anything, our music from our period of the 70s and the 80s is kind of, you know, growing like fine wine.
Right.
The kids are starting to love it, and I think it's ready for its second coming.
And it's www.leosayer.com, is that correct?
That's right, exactly. leosayer.com. You can find everything about me and what I'm up to, and hopefully in the live news section there'll be American dates in there soon. That's what I'm aiming for by the end of the year. So if anybody's listening, please come and see us. We'll be East Coast, all the way to Virginia where you are, all the way to Boston, and yeah, it's looking good at the moment. So, but I can't announce anything yet because it's not official. So, but we'll be there by the end of the year.
And as soon as you do,
look for us in the New York winter.
Right, and when you hit the States, get in touch with us again, and we'll put you on again.
Yeah, no worries. As soon as I've got the record ready, I'll advance it to you.
Oh, thank you so
mate.
much. All right, you have a good day, sir.
Yeah, and you have a good evening. Love from sunny Australia.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.